Do you believe what Hunt said about Kaepernick?
I mean, I guess it is somewhat unfair for me to say that I did not believe him because I don't know what would happen in this hypothetical situation where this would come up. However, it is awfully convenient that he could be the guy to be like, of course I'd sign Colin Kaepernick, except, you know, we got Alex and we just took a quarterback, and you know what I'm saying, we just saying, you know, I thought about it, but we just don't really have any room right now. But if we did, we would be the ones who happen to do it. That's the part where this gets to be tricky and trying to figure out what his intentions are. So it is convenient for him to be able to say so, but I don't know if I'm in a place to say that this guy is absolutely making this up. I don't know if he would say this, however, so confidently if they actually had a hole in the depth chart.
I will say I am sympathetic to Alex Smith. He and I have had a relationship insofar as I rode for him back when he was concussed and lost his job to Colin Kaepernick. So on that level, I get some of this. But, Bo, this is a step forward because the bar is that low. Let's look at what other owners have said. John Mara talking to the MMQB about how he's getting letters from fans, more letters than have ever come in to the New York Football Giants about how fans would revolt. This is what he was saying. All my years being in the league, I never received more emotional mail from people than I did about that issue. If any of your players ever do that, we are never coming to another Giants game. It wasn't one or two letters. It was a lot. It's an emotional issue for a lot of people, more than any other issue I've run into. Compared to John Mara, Clark Hunt is a hero, man. That is, I mean, look, we have Woody Johnson, who was just nominated to be the ambassador to the United Kingdom by our president, who was saying about how this wouldn't be my first choice, referring to Colin Kaepernick and his behavior.
And their quarterbacks stink.
And their quarterbacks are terrible. We have the president talking about how Colin Kaepernick cannot be signed because he is effectively bullying the NFL owners aforementioned into never doing so. He threatened something about a tweet. We are living in a world where that's the norm. Clark Hunt opening a shaft of light to let a little bit of rationality in seems to me like a big step in a small world.
Now, I would be very curious to know what phone calls Clark Hunt got or will get off of this from his fellow owners, because what you said there specifically with John Mara, he winds up making John Mara look terrible, and by extension, your also professional Giants fans, thereby making them look terrible. The reason is, I don't know if I believe John Mara when he talks about this flood of letters that he got in, but it does make you stop and take a minute to say, the dude who owns the team in Kansas City is saying he would be cool with it. The dude who owns the team in New York City is telling people, I think we would wind up with some level of revolt if this would wind up happening. That is a fascinating juxtaposition in and of itself. And I don't know if it's Clark Hunt, if he believes that he and Andy Reid would have the cachet to push this thing through, and John Mara doesn't feel like he would have it. I'm not sure. But that juxtaposition is where it gets to be interesting, because we have had the, look, Clark Hunt's not the first guy to do this. Pete Carroll did the same thing. Hey, man, this guy's a great football player, but we're going to take Austin Davis, right? Like, we have people who have made these counterintuitive sorts of statements when it comes to Kaepernick. We've seen this before, but man, it does make the ones that are like, oh my goodness, I could never do such a thing. It makes them look bad and almost make it look like they're breaking message.
Right, because all they have to do to seem reasonable to people who have two eyes and two ears is to frame this in some sort of football context. The Alex Smith excuse is kind of hilarious and, to your point, suspicious, but at least it has to do with ability. Right? Because a lot of this message and a lot of these ranks that are apparently being broken by Clark Hunt have to do with the idea that people who decry and complain about political correctness all the time happen to be implying from the top down that one thing that Colin Kaepernick needs to do is change his political message, change his hair, change his ideology, change his appearance, change his tone. If that's not political correctness, I don't know what is. So thank you to Clark Hunt for sticking to sports.
And yet yesterday, we were talking about Michael Vick getting an opportunity with a coaching internship in the league. And you said that people forget about things eventually, right? We talked about Barry Bonds. We talked about Mark McGwire. Do you see a point in the future when maybe Colin Kaepernick could still play from a physical standpoint where he would be given that opportunity?
What do you think, Bomani? Is this an issue? For me, like, this seems like one of those things that may stick.
Well, here's the thing. If he's not in now, then it's fair to ask when it would be that would wind up changing. And the problem that he has, we talked about this for a while, Michael Vick has been prostrating himself before people and apologizing for 10 years.
Right.
There is nothing to apologize for in this case. And since there's nothing to apologize for, there is no way for Kaepernick to ultimately be redeemed in the eyes of these people. If he doesn't play this year, then I do figure that this is going to wind up being over for him.
Right. What I would say is that the thing they want from Colin Kaepernick is the very thing he's talking about being a problem. And that is something that may not be in the realm of apology.
Yeah, the thing I say, though, there's only one place I think he can't go. Like, I think any other market will ultimately get over it. The one place he can't go is Miami. That's the only place he couldn't go because the Castro shirt takes on a whole different level than anything else, right? Like, that's the one where it can't happen. Otherwise, people get over a lot of stuff. They got over them dogs. I mean, and I didn't know that would ever happen.
We will keep our eye on the situation because you are hearing rumblings that the Ravens, with the Flacco situation, will be in need of a quarterback, even if it is for a short time. So some people saying, I think even our Adam Schefter this morning saying he wouldn't be surprised if that was a landing spot for him.